Hello, and thank you for joining me for the last factor of the 6 protective factors of strengthening Kentucky families, and it is nurturing and attachment. This is one of the most exciting things that early childhood is all about. Later in my past, I had the privilege of meeting one of the gurus of research in nurturing and attachment. I was in Phoenix, Arizona at one of the NACCE Institutes during the summer, and there I met Dr. Brazelton. If you Google his name, he is forever a guru in early childhood. Don't forget his name. When you see his name, read what he says. But his research study was on nurturing and attachment in infants. And one of the things that he began to research on, and one of his studies, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. He had a baby in a room that was completely white, no stimulation, in an infant seat, like a bouncy seat or a carrier. And in the first study, he had a set of parents, and he did this on like 3 to 5 children and gathered his results. And there may be more than that, okay? But I'm going to talk about this one particular one. He told the parent, he said, now, when you walk into the room, I don't want you to acknowledge the baby, make eye contact with the baby, nothing, because we're going to see what happens when you do not respond. So they monitored the baby for several minutes before the mother entered the room. There was absolutely no physical movement, just very little, no gooing, no cooing, no crying, nothing. As soon as the mother entered the room, the baby began to kick its feet, move its arms. The mother didn't respond. The baby stopped for a minute, and then the baby started making noises with its mouth. The mother still, no contact, no with the eyes, no verbal contact whatsoever. The baby then began to cry. The mother still did not respond. Finally, the baby just completely stopped. And after an escalation of severe crying, the baby just was exhausted and just stopped. The mother left the room. Dr. Brazelton said, okay, in this next study, we are going to have you respond to the baby. Okay? So again, they watched the baby for a few minutes. The baby is just lying there. Mother enters the room. The baby immediately begins to start moving its body. The mother makes eye contact with the baby. The baby starts responding back and forth. The baby begins to laugh. The emotional part of the baby begins to explode in these wonderful, joyous emotions of how it moves its body, it's gooing, it's cooing, laughing, all these different types of wonderful emotions. Dr. Brazelton began to talk about what he saw as he went through each one of these sessions with these different babies, and how important that it was that we respond and with eye contact, with verbalization to these babies, because it builds this nurturing and this very strong attachment. And he linked that he followed these kids for several years after this study. And he actually has given proof to our early childhood research which tells us that these strong relationships that are built even from infancy, even from the time the baby is in the womb, that this causes positive and strong attachments and nurturing. And it causes kids to have bonding, and they're secure in their attachment. They have strong relationships because of that undergirding and scaffolding of this nurturing and attachment issue. So what does it look like, and how do we implement this into our child care centers? Well, it looks like this, that families respond to their child with warmth and consistency that fosters that strong and that secure attachment that needs to happen. Families also help their child to trust that their environments are safe, and that when their parent is with them or their caregiver is there, that they are safe and secure. Families recognize and embrace their children's strengths and their individuality. In other words, they don't look, if they have 3 different children, they don't look at all of them being the same. They look at them as being individuals. And individually means that each one may have different strengths and different weaknesses. And families teach their child how to form and maintain healthy relationships with others. As caregivers, when we engage in these activities every day, not just on Monday, not just on Wednesday, not just on Friday, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we are creating an atmosphere of warmth and consistency in our classroom, where strong and secure attachments happen between you and the child, and you and the family. We create family education and skill building opportunities that promote attachment. We begin to teach our families how to respond to their children in appropriate ways because we model nurturing and consistent care to the children and their families. We don't just become a center that puts out toys when STARS comes, but we put out toys Monday through Friday. And we say this is the quality and this is what we stand for and this is who we are. We support children and we support families by understanding that the impact of the loss or the trauma that happens is hard, but we have to respond appropriately. I, as a teacher, a kindergarten teacher, a 4-year-old teacher, that's where my expertise is. I would get into a classroom and a child's behavior would escalate, and you would hear Miss Maria go, "Excuse me, but you have just made Miss Maria very mad. I am very angry at your behavior." Now notice I did not say I'm very angry at the child. I said I'm angry at the behavior. I targeted what I was angry at. And then I would say, "Miss Maria is going over here. I'm going to sit down in my chair and I'm going to think about how I feel right now. And then I will talk to you. See, I was so angry that I needed to take a time out myself. Now, in all reality, I probably was not that angry. But what I was doing was modeling how an adult should act when a child is so out of control, and what happens when a child does get out of control. Instead of them seeing a child or an adult go into slapping, hitting, saying ugly words, cussing, screaming, yelling at them, I modeled a positive behavior. And I also expressed my words and told them what I was doing. I was angry. I was going to take a time out. And so therefore I was nurturing this strong and secure attachment. Now, why is that important? It is important because we need to, as caregivers, model how we deal with our feelings. I can remember a time when a child told me I was fat, and it hurt my feelings, and I cried because, I don't know, I was emotional maybe that day. But you know, words do hurt. And children do know that, have to understand that their words, when they say them, hurt. They hurt people's feelings. And how that makes you feel and how that makes them feel. And you know, every time that somebody would cry after that, the children in the classroom would comfort that child because they were touched the day Miss Maria cried. When you build that secure and that strong attachment with your children and in front of your children love you. Have you ever heard the saying, oh, the little boy that fell in love with his kindergarten teacher? Well, they would fall in love with me. And they did not want to see me hurt. They did not want to see me cry. And when I did cry, it touched them to the very core of their being. And they understood the emotion. And when they understood the emotion, it helped them. And it became a predictor that when I do this, I could really hurt somebody's feelings. And so they grew in their social emotional competence. So we recognize and we promote the strengthening of these relationships every day, because what we do makes a difference. And there is no greater accomplishment as an early childhood professional when you see the little kids that have been in your classroom at 3 years old, at 4 years old in kindergarten, walk across the stage and graduate from high school. And they are confident, they are strong, they know where they're going, and then they go to college and they have scholarships and they're successful, and you know that you had 1 year of their life you invested in them. It is an amazing accomplishment for you. It is amazing when we can say you touch the future when you teach early childhood education. You make a difference in their life. You make a difference in families' lives every day here in Kentucky. Your job is very important.